This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to Chapter 2 of The Science of Boredom, where we're diving into another success story that might just change how you think about those restless moments. Today we're exploring how feeling utterly bored actually sparked some entrepreneurs to stumble upon million-dollar business ideas they never would have found otherwise. Let's get into it. On a Tuesday morning in 2012, a tiny game studio quietly shut down its big dream and accidentally opened the door to a $20 billion idea. Same team, same code, same boredom with email. Different question. What if the failed side tool was the real product? Most teams would have packed up and moved on. Instead, Stuart Butterfield's crew did something quietly radical. They treated the leftover tool they'd built for themselves like an unexplored map in a familiar city. The streets were there, chat windows, channels, searchable history, but almost no one had walked them with intent. They started asking, if this map isn't for players, could it redraw how coworkers navigate their day? Inside that question was a deeper shift. Boredom with email wasn't just annoyance. It was a signal, like background hum in a lab experiment hinting that your instruments are miscalibrated. The team leaned into that signal, testing how fast messages felt, how easily files moved, how naturally conversations grouped themselves. They weren't chasing innovation in the abstract. They were debugging the everyday friction of work and discovering a pattern many others secretly shared. They began by treating their own workday like a messy lab bench. Every status update, bug report, and quick check-in was routed through this internal system, not out of faith, but curiosity. Would conversations feel lighter if nothing got buried? Channels formed around projects, decisions, even jokes, each thread a visible trail instead of a disappearing whisper. Small design choices, persistent history, searchable archives, and open API turned routine chatter into a living memory of the team's thinking. Like a rehearsal recording musicians could rewind to catch the moment a melody first clicked. And quietly, productivity felt different. In that lab-style experiment, one pattern kept resurfacing. The most boring moments of work, status updates, clarifications, tiny decisions, were where projects actually lived or died. Email scattered those micro-moments across inboxes and time zones. This new flow pulled them into one continuously updated surface. Once the team saw that, they stopped thinking of it as chat and started treating it like an operating system for work. Technically, two choices amplified this shift. First, real-time delivery over WebSockets meant presence felt tangible. A question could be asked, answered, and resolved before an email draft would even be written. Latency stopped being a technical metric and became a social one. How long does someone wait, confused, before they get unblocked? Second, the open API turned the tool into a hub. Bug trackers, code repos, calendars, and deployment systems all began whispering into the same shared space. Information that used to live in separate dashboards now arrived where people were already talking. That's when the team noticed a counterintuitive effect. The more systems plugged in, the less everyone had to actively check anything. Build failures, customer tickets, sales wins, infra alerts, they announced themselves. Work became less about hunting updates and more about responding to a live, prioritized stream. Outside their walls, early adopters reacted fast. When they opened a beta in 2013, 8,000 teams signed up within 24 hours. Not for novelty, but because they recognized their own daily clutter in the problem being solved. Crucially, those teams weren't just chatting. They were wiring in tools, codifying norms, and shaping channel structures that mirrored how they actually worked. Slack wasn't prescribing a single workflow. It was giving organizations a flexible grammar to describe their own. Over time, an ecosystem formed around that grammar. Developers published thousands of integrations. Companies built internal bots to triage requests, onboard new hires, or summarize decisions. What started as an experiment in easing conversational drag was quietly evolving into a programmable surface
for coordination itself. At first, Slack's team focused on tiny tweaks that felt almost trivial. How many steps it took to create a new channel, how quickly you could jump between conversations, whether an @mention felt intrusive or clarifying. They watched where people hesitated, backtracked, or forgot what a channel was for, then adjusted labels, defaults, and prompts. Over time, those micro-decisions shaped how entire organizations felt in motion.
Outside tech, similar patterns emerged. A marketing agency used channels to mirror client life cycles, pitch, production, launch, post-mortem, so every campaign left the trail future teams could reuse. A hospital's non-clinical staff built channels around shift changes and incident follow-ups, reducing the "did someone already handle this?" fog. In the university lab, researchers used integrations to surface experiment updates next to discussions, so decisions weren't divorced from fresh data. The tool didn't dictate culture, but it made quiet habits visible enough to refine. Slack's evolution hints at a future where tools quietly reshape how decisions happen. As AI starts drafting updates, routing questions, and stitching context together, checking in may feel more like stepping onto a moving walkway than climbing stairs. Your calendar, CRM, and codebase could become background instruments in an orchestra, surfacing only the notes that matter. The real power shift: teams that design these flows deliberately will outlearn those that simply install the software. So the deeper lesson isn't just pivot when something fails, but treat quiet annoyance as a design brief. The next Slack scale shift might surface where you zone out in meetings, copy-paste the same note, or reopen the same tab. Follow that trail. Like tuning a radio, tiny adjustments can suddenly bring an unexpected frequency of collaboration into range. Before next week, ask yourself: 1. If I applied the exact approach they used to land their first 3 clients, same outreach style, same niche focus, same rough script, what would that look like in my world, and who are the 5 real people I'd reach out to today? 2. Where in my current process, pricing, onboarding, or delivery, am I overcomplicating things compared to how they kept it simple? And what's one concrete step I can strip out or streamline before the end of the day? 3. They kept going through those first awkward attempts. So when I picture myself sending that uncomfortable email, DM, or proposal today, what story am I telling myself that stops me? And what truer, more helpful story could I choose instead? This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow!